Hey guys, I want to do a quick video about 5 different things that you need to know and you should be doing when you're making your medical school list to apply to. Alright, here we go. So the number one thing you're going to want to do when you're analyzing whether or not you want to add a medical school to your list is consider the MCAT and the GPA. And that sounds stupid. You're like, Brian, really? Are you actually going to even tell me that? Yes, I'm going to tell you that. And you're going to want to analyze them with regards to an average between the two. So most people are like, MCAT, GPA, like, I don't really know. Like, my MCAT's kind of like similar to this, but my GPA is kind of like similar to that. Look, a lot of times they're going to be analyzing these in combination, oftentimes just as important as one another. So what I'm going to suggest you do is you take one, add it to the other, divide by 2, compare it relative to your own. I got this actually from an optometry school. UC Berkeley does this for their applicants. And I think a lot of medical schools are comparing these just in the same way. So what I did, and I suggest you do, is you take your MCAT, you take your GPA, and multiply it by 100 in order to get that into a similar range around the MCAT, right? The MCAT is 3 decimal places. You want to get that into the same region, so you have your 3.76 or whatever the heck you are, and you go ahead and multiply that by 100 and gets it in a similar numerical range. You add those together, divide by 2, and you compare that relative to each school with your own. That will give you an idea of how good you are relative to what the average student getting in is with regards to academic ability, all right? So you can see here that I did that with all my schools, and it gave me a good idea of whether or not I had stood a chance to actually getting in. This isn't strictly about how you're going to proportion your medical school application, all right? If I were to suggest that to you, I'd probably say around 10% is going to be in your reach schools, 10% is in your lower quartile, and then 80% is going to be schools that you stand a statistically high chance of getting into. All right, and that statistically high chance of getting into is strictly based off of your MCAT and your GPA, all right? So moving down the list here, the next thing that we're gonna talk about is calculating in-state versus out-of-state students that actually end up getting in. So I would suggest you apply to every single school within your state, and even if you're a Californian student, all right? So that's gonna really increase your chances because a lot of states are gonna show really preferential treatment for those applying within their own state, okay? But the thing that you're going to need to consider is whether or not a school out of state is actually going to accept you based off the proportion of students who are actually getting in from out of state. Okay? And this is really, really, really strong with some states too. All right? So, and a lot of schools get a ton of applicants from out of state. Like for instance, Penn State. Okay? Penn State gets over 10,000 applicants. And sure, like, you can look at it and say, oh, my MCAT, my GPA, they're in the range. But if you look at it and you see like barely anybody is actually getting in from out of state, you should consider that. So let's go ahead and take an actual look at Penn State. I did the calculations for it, so let's find it. So if we look at Penn State here, you could just take a look at the in-state versus out-of-state matriculant. Like, oh my gosh, like how many actually got in? And you see, oh my gosh, like 96 out-of-state got in versus 55 in-state. Like, that generally is suggesting that they're accepting more out-of-state. Yeah, sure. But they also got 10,000 out-of-state applicants. You're competing with so many more people applying to that school, and that needs to be considered in your calculations as well, okay? So, the favorable state admitted versus favorable state applied for that case is 0.009. If you consider that relative to these other schools I have on this list, getting into Penn State is you have far less of a chance getting in, statistically speaking, based off of the amount of competition that you're entering into by applying to that school. The next part of this this list, which is probably is obviously really important, is why you actually want to go to the school. So when you're actually interviewing at a school, if you don't know why you're applying before you even hit the send button to them, you're making a mistake. You want to be able to, if they called you right after you sent in your application, seconds after, you pick up the phone and you say, this is why I want to go to this school. Like, you have a reason already on the books. And second of all, you're doing all this research when you're figuring out your list, right? So don't go wasting all that knowledge because you're going to go through 30 freaking schools doing all this research, getting all this knowledge, and then you're going to come back to the books and you're going to be like, why did I apply to this school again? Like, I know I sent in my application Don't waste your own time. While you're doing this research to begin with, write down why you want to go to this school, and then you'll have a reason already prepared when you're doing your secondary essays, because you're going to get those secondary essays and they're going to ask you, why do you want to go to the school? You might as well already write your essay to begin with. You're wasting your own time if you don't do that. And secondary applications take so much time to do, okay? So write down why you want to go to the school when you're making your initial list. Thing number 4 that we're going to go for is after you do your research, I do want to consider this because this actually comes from like statistical research that's done about how human beings make decisions. And that's based off of the dorsolateral and the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. And these two things decide how we behave to a large extent. Now, of the two of those, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex determines logical decision making, while the ventral medial prefrontal cortex governs how emotions play into what we do. So that's actually going to determine whether or not you're making an emotional decision or a logical decision. But they're both important in how we make decisions. So when you're doing this research, I want you to say to yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I actually want to go here? Like in my heart, if I ask my heart, how badly do I want to go here? What does it actually say? That's important to us, guys. And don't just say that it's not important to you, because your emotional, like what comes across in your emotions is actually going to be read by the admissions committee. So you want to know how much you want to go there. The next thing, number 5, this is the last thing we're going to be going over in this video. So I want you to rate it according to the things that you currently see as being important to you. And to me, that was vision research, having a diverse patient background, and having a high surgical graduation rate. Vision research, it's something that I've always wanted to do. I've done research, never been able to do vision research. Diverse patient background. In my opinion, a diverse patient background makes for a doctor that can deal with a variety of different situations unflinchingly, and also can relate to patients a lot better from many different backgrounds. So if they are able to do that, then that's what's important to me. And then the high surgical graduation rate, I knew I wanted to do surgery, so that's why I put it. Now, figure out what's important to you. Get a few different metrics and give it a numerical calculation, because just doing off of a feeling alone is not going to help. I want that dorsolateral portion of your prefrontal cortex to be actually functioning during this process too, right? Those are the 5 different things that I would suggest you take a look into while you're doing your research on medical schools, so that you can actually make an objective and slightly subjective measurement of why you want to go there. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and please check out my other videos if you are applying to medical school and you need some help. Catch you later.